We have been talking on this show, though, about the issue at running back in the NFL. Guys aren't getting paid. Guys are trying to get paid. Saquon Barkley still hasn't gotten his deal done with the Giants. Josh Jacobs reportedly still at odds with the Raiders because he hasn't signed his franchise tag either. Austin Eckler had an issue. Dalvin Cook was released. Like, all these running backs have popped up over the past, especially the past couple of months, being vocal about the deterioration in the value of the position. And you had Melvin Gordon, who was on with Jim Rome recently, who talked about it's literally the worst position to play in the NFL right now. And the latest is Miles Saunders, who spoke with Rich Eisen about his issues with how the running back position is being valued. Let's take a listen.
It's nothing that we're doing wrong. We're doing everything that we have to do, as far as on the field and stuff like that. And for people, and I think GMs or whatever, owners, to think that running backs are not as valued as much is a lie, because you got to see how everything plays out. You got to see what guys like Christian McCaffrey, the stuff he does, things that Saquon do, the things that Josh Jacobs do consistently each year. But you want a franchise tag and, create a certain, market for a running back just because you have this way of thinking that they only last 3 to 4 years. I think it's BS, honestly. There's a lot of – almost every running back in the league is underpaid right now. I don't know what's going to take, but I don't know. But that's a topic that needs to be, brought up a little bit more because it sucks to be a running back right now, honestly.
So that's Miles Saunders talking with Rich Eisen about the position and just the issues for running backs and what they face right now. And you and I have brought this up before. What's the solution? I mean, like what do you do?
The game is evolving, and it's going to continue to evolve. It's going to have more positions. Some positions become more important, others less. Like, it seems like tight ends are more important than running backs.
Yep.
At this point.
Yep.
No one would have ever said that 10 years ago. So it's just the game is evolving, and for what it's worth, it in context, historical context, it does suck to be a running back.
Yeah.
But in real time, at least you have a skill set that still translates to you making money off of being one. Because if you were a fullback, you don't even really, I think, and the only reason why I know they still use a fullback in Detroit is because Jason Kabinda is a fullback who was a linebacker at Penn State. That would be the only reason why I know they use a fullback. But, I mean, it's not, you don't even really have a opportunity to have a job. I mean, you think about it. Sam Gash was critical to running games in Baltimore and Buffalo.
By the way, what a great
Lorenzo
name.
Neal.
Sam Gash might be one of the great names of all time.
You realize he's the original 11 at Penn State?
Is he really?
Sam Gash. He wore 11 at Penn State.
Sam Gash, damn.
And so there's a bit of trivia for you, you had the Lorenzo Neals, you have the Mike Allstotts. Imagine right now in this era of football, Mike Allstott, a Sam Gash, a Lorenzo Neal coming out, a Max Strong coming out into the NFL. They wouldn't even have a job.
Kyle Juszczyk.
They wouldn't even have a job.
Kyle Juszczyk is obviously with the 49ers. He has a job, but that's because Kyle Shanahan has made him a focal part of the offense. But, yeah, he's in the minority when it comes to that. It's just,
I mean, again, you can count probably on one hand how many fullbacks are in the NFL right now. And so when you think about the dynamics of where offensive schemes are going, it's not that the running back isn't still important. It's just that the running back is not the focal point, whereas they used to be. Running backs used to be the main focal point and it was hand in hand. You can't have a prolific passing attack without having a prolific running game, and the other way around. You got to have a prolific passing game to have a prolific running game. People will be like, well, how is that? Why is that? Well, you think about any prolific passing team. Who you want to bring up? You want to bring up Eric Coryell? You want to bring up the greatest show on turf? Do you want to bring up Peyton Manning? Do you want to bring up Ben Roethlisberger? Do you want to bring up Tom Brady? Whoever you want to bring up that you think, Aaron Rodgers, whoever you want to bring up, Brett Favre, whoever you want to bring up as a prolific passer and a passing attack, a passing team, they all had prolific running backs. Every last one of them. Every last one of them had prolific running backs. I mean, Jerome Bettis is a Hall of Famer. Ben Roethlisberger had him. Kurt Warner had Marshall Faulk. Peyton Manning had Edgerrin James. We're talking about like, you look at Eli Manning and those 2 Super Bowls he had. They had 3 running backs. 3 that were the catalyst. They were the catalyst of what that offense was able to create and why it opened things up for Plexico and the other guys in the passing game. And Plexico and those guys would admit it. They would admit that. So when you think about where the running back's position is now and how it's not being valued as much, that role still exists. That role still exists for running backs. It's just not the focal point. You still need to run the ball. Like, having a Derrick Henry matters. Having a Saquon Barkley matters. A Alvin Kamara matters. Having a Miles Saunders matters. Having a McCaffrey matters. It matters to have a tailback that can do, a running back that can do what these guys do. They are very much a part of the fabric of an offense. They're just not the focal point.
Yeah, it's almost, and you mentioned, the game has evolved, and like, sometimes things are cyclical and they'll go around. Like, you'll see, like, fashion nowadays, man. Like, baggy jeans are back. Like, you see, like, there are some, like, I mean, we're talking, like, young women that are dressing like Gwen Stefani was dressing 30 years ago. Like, it just, right. It just, like, that, so that happens. Like, stuff is cyclical and it comes back. And then there are other things that evolve, to your point, and they never really come back because people realize it's too far down the road. Like, you're not going to see a landline anymore. You're not going to see anybody use a pager. You're not going, because it's advanced at that point, and it feels like. And we broke down the numbers last week.
When's the last time you used a house phone in your house?
We don't have one.
Yeah,
literally don't have one.
We have them on the wall. They're just not even. I don't even think they're active.
See, I've thought about getting one, but it's got to be the rotary, like the old rotary dial.
It's nostalgia.
There's
not
something about
it.
So my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law had a party for their 1-year-old daughter, and the theme of the party was Toy Story. And one of the toys that was there was this little kid's rotary phone. And my wife was looking at me, and everyone was looking at me like a weirdo because I was playing with the rotary phone, dialing my old house number, and I wouldn't let my son play with it.
412-486
damn right.
5810. Isn't that
yours?
Crazy? Of all the things you remember, I still remember my first phone number.
But I was playing with this rotary phone because it took me back to when I was a kid, and people looked at me like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, I don't know. I haven't seen one of these in forever, but it was nostalgic. And I just wonder, is the running back position going to get to the point to where it's the rotary phone? And it's like, man, it's really cool to talk about, but dude, nobody is getting the love anymore from a financial standpoint or in the realm of, what's considered elite playmakers in the NFL. Like, tight ends, to your point, are more valuable.
And just super quick, I know we got to wrap, but I just think where we're at right now, it's a running back like a McCaffrey will be the only reason why the position stays relevant.
Yeah.
And like the Derrick Henrys and stuff like that, it's possible. It's possible. But I would think that like the Tyreek Hills, the Alvin Kamara's, like the tweener, like Deshaun Jackson, the tweener receivers are going to replace running backs.
Yeah.
Because you can motion them. You have an extra receiver on the field that you can put in space, put in motion. And then what's going to happen, and this is going to get tricky, what's going to happen is linebackers aren't going to be necessarily needed for stopping the run. So you'll start to see the linebacker position look different. Like you won't see guys like me playing linebacker. Guys like me will have to either be able to cover and be able to run with like a Santana Moss in space, or you're going to be on the line of scrimmage rushing the passer. You know what I mean? So it's gonna not only shape what offenses look like, it's gonna start to morph and evolve and shape what defenses look like and how they have to prepare as well. You're gonna have to start putting, and it's already happening, you're gonna have to start playing safeties at linebacker.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to start playing basically nickel and dime defenses. And that's going to replace a base defense. You're not even going to have a base defense. You're not going to have like big, strong, thumping linebackers in there anymore because they're going to have to be able to cover and be able to run in space and do everything that safeties and secondary guys. So it's going to be secondary versus receivers.
Yeah, it's
like basically the NFL is going to turn into like 7-on-7.